Good to go. All right, folks. In case you didn't know, I'm Donnie Baker. If you don't know me, you got to introduce yourself. We have what I think is a real treat. This is a treat. And the most important thing is the fact that you showed up to see what we have to say. Donnie is about to do a competition really soon. How many weeks? 2 weeks from contest time. And at that point, there are some, what I said, are secrets to share with you about what he goes through and how to do it. Understand, what he's doing applies to athletics, but it also applies to everybody here to some extent. So understand that the meeting is for you. We're going to touch on a whole lot of things, and hopefully we'll answer questions, maybe start some new ones. If you got a question, you can ask. We want to try to address it because it's all about you. Really quick, show of hands. Who has ever been to a live show, a live contest? Good. Hands still stay up if you ever done competition. Okay, only one. How about people might be thinking about, I should do a show, maybe. I should think about that. Yeah. Cool, all right. Listen, it's all about education, and we want to make sure you get what you came for. Quick reminder, and he always wants me to express this. Personal trainers, him and myself, he's an in-house trainer, he owns the place. I might act like I do, but that's just a facade. We encourage personal training clients to join the gym. You don't have to. That make sense? Okay. If you are interested in training, or someone that's outside is interested in training, I think it's great to support the gym, but they are not required to join the gym to train with one of the trainers in-house or contract trainer. That's important to them, and that's why I'm bringing it up. All right. Anybody show hands? Your doctor ever said you should exercise? Show hands. Good, hands down. Did the doctor ever say how many sets and how many leg presses to do? Did they ever say that? Good, they shouldn't. Okay, that's not their deal. That vocabulary sheet I gave you and some of the things we say will sound scientific, and they are. But you should not ask your doctor how to start your exercise program and get all intimidated. We don't prescribe medications. We're not doctors, is really what I'm saying. It's a disclaimer. Even though the discussion might sound like we go in that direction, we are fitness professionals, so separate them out. Quite honestly, I think I can speak for Donnie. Love to work with the doctor. I love to work with your physical therapist. Love to work with your chiropractor. And in all honesty, really honestly, if you or the general public would do the things that we recommend, it's like you could depend less on big pharma and the doctors. Wouldn't that be something? I got one nod. Yes. Come on. Thank you. All right. This is extra. What is physique culture? When you began strength training, your body responded by an enhanced muscular development, more muscular power. And all you need to do is add some whole food to it. Everybody here is a physique culture in that frame of mind. It's an old term, you know, you probably heard it. But if you picked up weights, your body's better. One of the first things I noticed is that people's posture gets better when they work out. So you carry yourself in a better way, in a different way. And so yeah, you're a physique culturist. Not to this extent. I was trying, but that's a different story. Different story. Tell me the day of the show. 2 weeks. 2 weeks from yesterday.
It's Sunday.
Okay. If I or you want to view it Is it NPC
We're
online?
gonna, it's actually IFBB, so.
Thank you. Oh,
So.
excuse me.
Don't worry about it, you get it.
IFBB online.
Yeah, IFBB, yeah. Yeah, I think you can probably go NPC online too, because it kind of they merge.
What's the difference? We might as well go there.
NPC is amateur and IFBB is professional.
Okay. Good news. Which category or categories are you doing?
So I am going to be doing the open, which is, you have a weight category, you have a 212 and you have an open. A 212 and open is nothing more than bodybuilders over 212. So I'm going to do the open and I'm going to do the 212 and the 60.
So one of them is open, one of them is
212.
masters.
Oh, they're both masters.
They're both? Okay, need to clarify.
Well, I'm staying in my lane. I mean, you know, you know, so I'm staying in the 60 year. I'm not deviating any place else.
So in the IFBB, is there a past 50 or is it always past? Does it start at 60 for masters?
For masters men, the top off is 70. I think for women, the top off is 60.
Okay, and nothing less, no above 50?
You got your 50s, and I think you got your 45s.
For masters?
Yeah.
Okay. So stand in the lane, masters competition. Surprisingly, or maybe not, well, surprisingly to maybe someone who's fresh to the sport, masters can bring some serious physiques.
Yeah.
He's got some people on his radar that are younger than him. Oh my God.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. Local competitions. How many did you do? Or which ones?
Local. I think the highlight of my local competitions when I was an amateur, I won the Masters overall at the Emerald Cup. So that was, I think it's probably maybe 2019, something like that. They got my pro card in 2020.
He mentioned the Emerald Cup. The Emerald Cup is a local contest, Bellevue, and to my dismay, a lot of competitors will enter the Emerald Cup as their first show. It's a big mistake. This is a very competitive field, and I think, you know, to start out, you don't start out at the Super Bowl. You don't start out at the World Series. Emerald Cup's a big deal. If you get a chance to go in Bellevue, it's usually in April. It's worth going. You know, a lot of categories, very good competition.
I want to just chime in real quick. The Emerald Cup is the largest regional show in the nation. Okay, you've got all the regional shows, and it's the largest one in the nation. So yeah, that's why it's a big deal. If you're local and you're thinking, all right, to me, it's more or less the gateway to the next level. You know, you want to find out if you want to truly test your mettle with the
Turned pro in 2019.
2020.
Okay.
Florida.
How many national competitions did you do? What did it take to turn pro? And you have to place at a certain level.
I probably did most. I did a few in my late 30s, but I did most of them in my 50s. So I probably did about 6 national shows before I got that program.
I'm going to go off script a little bit. I thought I would say this, but I like to remind you. We met in probably 92, 93, trained at the same gym. And I see this new guy, he was new to me. And I'm like, oh, I got competition. Not physique-wise, but as a personal trainer. He's doing body composition. They're like, oh, there's competition. Here's a smart guy. But after watching him and looking at him in the gym and seeing him in contests, and he probably had some indications going forward. As a retired judge, I was judging at the time, I'm like, dude, you got a national level physique. You remember telling me that?
Yeah.
That's a national level physique. We didn't see that, well, we saw some, but right here in town, small gym, but yeah, you can compete on a national level. Little did I know, he became an IFBB pro. It took you a while, how come?
Oh.
What?
Life and finally figuring some things out, and I have to be honest with myself. I was relying more on my genetics than I was relying more on my physical genetics than my mental genetics. That's just the sport in and of itself. And we're talking about the sport now, not so much the activity. Of course, it takes a certain ilk to do what we do. And when I say we, I'm talking about everybody in this room because we're in the same line. But it takes a certain ilk, you know, to even do this and to go to a higher level. It just takes a much higher degree of mental toughness.
So I'm going to ask you to drill down a little bit on that. Physical genetics, mental genetics.
Okay? So with physical genetics, we're talking about, basically we're talking about, and this is about to get in the weeds a little bit, we're talking about structure, we're talking about musculature, and we're talking about metabolism. Those three things. Okay, those three things are going to determine, first of all, if you decide that you are going to be a competitor, how far you're going to go up the line, okay? It's going to decide on how your approach is going to be towards reaching whatever goal you have to reach, you know. So those are the physical genetics, you know. So, but then, like I said, the mental genetics is the consistency, you know, that long, drawn out, you know, just repeated over and over and over. It's just really monotone. But the thing about it is not a lot of people can do it. You know, to come in and to train 5 days a week or to train 3 days a week or even 2 days a week on a normal basis. You know, that can be, you know, that can be done for some people.
I tend to deviate from what you and I know works. Because people want to be whiners and complain. It's boring, I'm doing the same stuff. You know, there are some exercises that just work better than others. And like it or not, with a certain amount of consistency, you have to keep doing at least some version of that exercise in order to continue to develop. So I tend to do a lot of the same stuff. Now there is variety, and if people train with me, I try to expose you to a good amount of variety, being sensitive to that mental toughness thing, but certain things just always have a place in your training.
And I got appreciate you just gotta jump on with it. And I try to tell my clients, you only need 3 things. That's it. Intensity, consistency, and time. That's it. You got to train intense enough to change. You got to do it consistently enough. And you got to do it long enough. If you're missing 1 of the 3, you're not going to get the outcome that you really want. You know, some people, they can be consistent, but they're not training intense enough. You know, some people can train intense and they're consistent, but they're just not doing it long enough. You know, so you got to have all 3 of those things. And the thing about it is you can put in whatever methodology you want. It doesn't matter. If somebody's using CrossFit or traditional training, whatever, it doesn't matter. As long as those 3 things, as long as I know those 3 things are being met, they're going to be successful in whatever they do.
So, you and I have a common friendship, another individual, Miguel Thompson.
Yes.
Miguel Thompson was very gifted physically. He did, I think, 2 shows. Haven't seen him since. He was my best man. And he came to visit me in Hawaii. I don't know what happened to him. This guy had a structure that was just phenomenal. And he would come to the gym and in 3 or 4 weeks, boom! All this good stuff was happening to his physique. It takes me months for that. Genetically very gifted. I don't know where the guy is. And that's too bad because he really does have, I say does, because you know this structural thing, his skeleton and his muscularity, ready to go. Haven't seen it. Don't know what happened. And that's unfortunate. How do I know if I should compete or not? You know, talking about people who haven't or who are thinking about it, how do you know? And I think you touched on it, but elaborate a little more.
Wow. Well, I think let's start from the most obvious. The obvious sign that you should maybe compete is when people talk about how great you look. You have a great physique. Have you ever thought about competing? You know, if you get that, I mean, that's number 1 right there, okay? All right. Regardless of whether you want to compete or not, but if you get compliments on your physique and people are like, you know, you need to think about competing. They've already kind of sized you up a little bit. They've evaluated you, see your strengths and weaknesses. You know, another thing is, you're inspired by someone, you get inspired, and I think that's something I want to go ahead and pursue. Okay, it's the next rung down. Now, of course, your physical and mental genetics is going to have a lot to do with it. But for the mere fact that you would even think about doing it, and you probably have some idea of what it entails because you've seen people in the gym and they're doing what they're doing, and you see that at times it can be kind of arduous. All right, they're going to be inclined to, I would say, hey, that's a good indicator that you may want to compete.
Saw a young lady in the gym probably, might have been 6 or 8 weeks ago, and I can't help it. What's your sport, or what did you do? She said, well, I did some rowing. Crew. You know how hard these people work. And so her physique told me she did something. That's broad shoulders, small waist, good looking thighs. And I said the same thing. You ever thought about doing a contest? She said, no, thank you. Listen, I get it. I haven't thought about that, but thank you. And so what he's saying, when we see talent, it's hard not to come.
That's pretty much in a nutshell right there. When you see that, it's like seeing talent. It's like walking into a room and something, and you got somebody who's doing karaoke, and you're this person is just blowing on stage. You're like, wow. That's how it is in the gym. Sometimes you'll see somebody on the floor, and you come in, you're like, whoa. First thing you probably want to ask is, do you compete? Now, if you get that, then that's also a good sign. One like you'll say no. Have you ever thought about it? And it goes from there.
Okay, we're about to get into the real meat, but before we do, what's a good off season? What's a good off season look like? Okay, and let's ask this question for you and for the rest of us who are not pros.
So now
there might be 2 answers to that. What's a good off season?
So now I'm going to go through this through a competitor standpoint. But like I say, you can take bits and pieces because we got mostly gym pop here, and you can apply it to yourselves too. All right. So to me, a good off season is when you've taken the time, and it's probably somewhere between 6 to 8 months to bring up any lagging. I'm talking about competitors, any lagging muscle groups. Okay. If you're a hard gainer, someone that's hard to put on it, you put on a significant amount of muscle, more so to the point to where when you do start your prep phase and when you're finished, you're going to be a larger version than your previous year, and it's obvious, you can see it, okay? So it's just doing your homework, basically, in a nutshell. You've done all your homework, you brought up lagging groups, the whole 9 yards, you've done everything that you need to do to be a better version of yourself in the next contest.
Should that person hire a coach or a trainer?
All right, so now, this stuff entails a lot. I've been competing since the 70s, okay? And back in the 70s and 80s, it was not uncommon to see someone at the national level that had already been training about 12 to 15 years. It took that long just to get to the national level, okay? Pros would typically have 15 to 20 years up under their belt before they got to the pro level, okay? Now, you're getting pros with 2-3 years experience in training, we've got some pros right now that are really at the pinnacle, they're really at the zenith of the sport, and they're still trying to figure it out, okay? That's what a coach does, all right? So if you're willing to get down in the weeds and you want to learn the ins and outs of the sport and the minutiae of it, and you really want to get proficient at it yourself, then by all means do that. But if you've got a timeline and you want to do a national show, or you want to get your profile, let's say within about 2 or 3 years, whereas if you did it the way they did it back in the 70s, that's just getting you started, then you hire a coach. Because a coach, they do it all the time. They go through the initial phase and they go through the lean out and the dry out. They do that stuff all the time. So, and what they'll do basically is just find out where your category is, and then they'll just apply those principles to that body type and see which way you go. So Having a coach, it's going to cost you, you know, but it will save you a lot of time, okay, in a lot of effort, or whole effort that you work so much at it, and you're working backwards, okay? Coaches, they can alleviate that, all right? But it will cost you.
And so I have told competitors in the past, my job is to save you time. You know, what will take you 3 or 4 years to figure out, I can help you figure that out in a year or 18 months. That's what he and I had to do. Didn't figure it out ourselves. He obviously figured it out a little better, don't you think? The answer is yes. Okay. He got there. He touched on really what I consider the meat and potatoes, so it's time to dig into that. There are 3 phases of competition prep. And these are his words, 3 phases. We've got lean out, fill out, dry out. We're going to start at the top, lean out. Now, just understand before I let him talk, I used to coach wrestling, and it's been my opinion, and even more so today. You take middle school kids, and people are saying, you don't want them sucking weight. You know what? Everybody has some body fat that they can stand to get rid of. If you live in the United States, even the ectomorph, a slender individual, still has enough body fat to get them down the road a long way. So this lean out thing that he's about to dig into is appropriate for everybody who sits there. Okay? So let's go, lean out.
Yes.
He's got 10 to 20 weeks is what it takes. I'm going to let you talk.
Okay? So, lean out phase. Now, I'm in competitor's mode here, okay? Let's think about it in terms of being a competitor, all right? Let's say you had a very successful off season, because that's one of the great, that's part of the good way to start a prep phase and have a good off season phase, because then that momentum carries over into it, okay? The purpose of it is to get as lean as possible, okay? Gen pop, we're talking for females, you're talking between 18 to 26%.
Hang on, does everybody know what that gen pop word means? Say, if you don't know, raise your hand if you don't know. That's a Donnie thing.
General population. General population, which is the majority of the people here, okay? So, gen pop for females, 18 to 26%, for males, 8 to 15%, but we're talking bodybuilding now. So for males, you're talking top end, absolute top end, probably low end is 6%, the top end is as close to 3% as possible. Okay? All right, so it's a much higher goal here. For females, like I said, for 18 to 26%, but for females, we're talking about fitness, bikini, we're talking about 10% or less. Okay? All right, so those are the goals that we're looking for, okay? 10 to 20 weeks is about how long it takes. All right, some takeaways from this. You're not going to be, at the end of this lean out phase, you're not going to be where you were when you started, okay? All right, I'm going to go ahead and just start with some takeaways here. Some of the big mistakes that a lot of people take with this lean out phase, and this also applies to gen pop. Okay, so we know that we're going to need cardio, because when it comes to lean out, for 99.99% of the folks in here, unless you're Dexter Jackson, okay, you're going to need cardio. The cardio is key. Okay. Especially with me, because now I'm going to deviate just a little bit. We've got 3 body types, okay? Ectomorph, everybody knows what that is. Okay? Naturally slim people, okay? Mesomorph, naturally muscular people, and endomorphs, fat folks. And I'm one of them, believe it or not, okay? I am one of them, okay?
Not true.
So, but some people can be meso-endomorphic, some people can be ecto-mesomorphic, so, but there's a mixture too. Okay, so, one of the things that you do want to do as far as cardio goes, now yeah, you need cardio. So you're thinking fat burners and you're thinking, you know, just how the duration of the cardio. One of the big mistakes that I see with a lot of folks is they start, and even with gym pop, they start way too high on the cardio. Because
What's too high?
So, in the first week, let me just say, you may get a person, first week they start out, they're doing an hour's worth of cardio. This is what's going to happen, regardless of whether you're a competitor or not. You are going to plateau. The body plateaus. It is going to happen. It's not a sign of failure. It's just part of the process. You're going to go down for a while, and all of a sudden it's going to stop. And it's not going to go anywhere until you do something to start it up again, okay? But if you've done everything that you need to do, where do you go? You understand what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is this. I started my cardio at 20 minutes about 12 weeks ago, 10 weeks ago. Now it's an hour and some change, okay? And every week, I adjusted a little bit. As my body started to slow down, I would add another 10 minutes. And then I would add another 10 minutes. And every time I did, it would start again, okay? All right, so, and that's what I do with a lot of my clients, my gym pop clients, is when I start out with the cardio, I don't max it out. That's gonna come in time. But that is going to happen, okay? But you don't start with that because, like I said, you have nothing else after that. Also, if you're taking fat burners, and fat burners are very, very, very helpful because it makes the most out of the cardio. I use my fat burner as a pre-workout, okay? You don't take a fat burner and just sit back and watch television and kind of wig and this. That's not how you do it. That's not making a fat burner work for you. How you make that fat burner work for you is about 10, 15 minutes prior to your cardio session. You take that fat burner, it's got you going, and now you're ready to get on the step mill, or ready to get on that bike, or you're ready to get on the treadmill and do your thing, okay? So it optimizes that cardio session. That's what it does, okay? Now, as a competitor, another thing I think that would be really, really, really important, and I actually do it with Gym Pop, is you need to know where you are. You need to monitor your progress. And the way I do it, I should have brought it with me. I got my work calendar upstairs. Alan knows what I'm talking about. Dan knows what I'm talking about. Break out that work calendar. Okay? I'm talking as a competitor now. Let's say you got 12 weeks and you're coming down and you're doing okay. Let's say this is an amateur. This is an amateur mistake. Now, not only are you just getting ready for a contest and you're in the lean out phase, but at the same time, you got a job. You still got to do other things. You got your kids, you know, all this stuff going on and stuff. And sometimes you can lose track of where you are. You know, before you know it, oh shoot, I'm 5 weeks out, and man, goodness gracious, I got another 12 pounds to drop, okay? Whereas with a war calendar, I'm taking every single day, and I will weigh in, okay? And I'm knowing exactly what's going on day by day. So if my weight holds the same at about 2 days or so, 2 or 3 days, I know I need to make an adjustment. Okay? If I'm going too fast, okay, then I know I need to up the calories a little bit. If I'm going too slow, then I know I need to bump the cardio or drop some carbs, okay? All right? And so that keeps me on point, all right? I can just look at it and say, okay, boom, I'm X amount of weeks out, okay? Everything is all mapped out, and I'm good to go, okay? I do this with my gym pops too, okay? So they get like a countdown calendar, and every day, you know, every time they do everything that they're supposed to do, they just check that puppy off. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to instill that consistency, because it's that consistency that gets it going. Okay, if you're consistent for 3 or 4 days and then you're not for another 4 or 5 days and you're back on 3 or 4, that's not going to work. It's got to be very, very, very consistent. Okay, so don't max out on the cardio starting out. Now, if you're already there, then you're already there, okay? But don't max out, you know, starting out and stuff. And if you're going to use a fat burner, you know, use it as a pre-workout. Don't just use it, okay? And I'm telling you, it's really helpful. Yes?
I don't know what a fat burner is.
So, in one word, stimulants, okay? Like caffeine.
Oh,
It's primarily caffeine. You know, that's the main days of man fat. All you gotta do is you get a nice stiff cup of coffee, you know, flat, straight, and then, you know, let it kick in and then knock out your cardio, you're gonna find that it's gonna be a little bit more productive because you're gonna put more energy into it, okay? Also, as you continue on, and the thing I really like about cardio and why I depend on it so much, other than me just being a fat boy, okay, as time goes on, as the weeks go by and you're having to pull a little bit because it's going to happen, you're pulling a little bit, you're not pulling a lot, you're pulling a little bit, mainly carbs, okay, all right, to keep things going, all right. The mitochondria are going to want to slow down, or the body's not going to want to activate as many mitochondria because first things first with the body is survival. The body cares nothing about me getting ready for a contest in 2 weeks. All it knows is that I'm trying to kill it, okay? All right, and so it's going to try to do everything it can to prevent that from happening. That means slowing down mitochondria, okay, to slow down the metabolism so I won't burn as much. That's what it's going to do. Now, the beauty about cardio counters that because automatically the body's going to shut down, but manually I inject the cardio and I still activate all the mitochondria, so I'm still burning a pretty decent amount of calories. Okay? All right? That's one of the big advantages of doing cardio when you're in your lean out phase. But like I said, the right amount of cardio. Okay? All right? Just pick it up as you go along. Pick it up as you go on, yes.
So, if I'm lifting in the morning and then I go right from there to spin, is that counterproductive for me? Or is that, I mean, how do you balance out lifting and cardio?
So here's the
Can I answer that?
Yes,
Please.
Answer that,
Okay,
yes.
so,
And I'll jump on that.
my answer to you is probably yes. What I get really disappointed in about my clients is they want to do cardio first and then try to lift weights. Are you kidding me? That ain't gonna work. Cardio, in general, cardio is basically called, is what? It's low intensity and it's long duration. Why do you think you want to burn up all your energy doing cardio and then have enough and then you can't pick up the weights? You can't. So no, if you do your strength training, and let's just understand, if the strength training and the cardio have to be back to back,
That's the key right there.
okay? If they have to be back to back, then you're going to strength train first.
Right. Okay.
Because now, at some point, I'm already into a fat burning mode, and you'll find that the cardio is actually easier to do. Please, you know, you can warm up for 10 or 15 minutes on one of the stationary tools. But to spend 45 minutes of doing quote-unquote cardio and then expect that your strength training will work, it will not work as well. But I think you'll get awesome results by doing it just the opposite. Warm up, have a very good strength training session. Guess what? Metabolism is high. You're already digging into the fat burning because the sugar is burned off. And now, you can find that the cardio will just roll along and it'll work much better. Much better. Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, I do cardio first, but it's at 6 or 7 and I don't train till 2. Okay?
6 or 7 a.m.
All right. And then it's for an hour, and then I fully recover because I do a lot of interval cardio, so it's a combination of hit and sustain, so it takes a lot out of me and stuff.
Let's talk about that. I've got it on the notes.
Yes.
Hit sustained intervals.
Yes.
So, who gets to use it? Is it for everybody to do this?
It's not interval cardio to me. It just depends on the person. It depends on the person. Endomorphs and up, people that tend to have slower metabolism, I think they really do need some of that hit. People that are pure mesomorphs may not need quite as much. Like in my hour cardio session, about 45 minutes of it is sustained and 15 minutes of it is hit. So that's the kind of breakdown that you have.
Are you know what hit means, yes or no? If you don't know, you got to speak up.
Yeah.
I don't know what hit is. Okay, that means you don't know. Good. Oh, you don't know.
Don't know.
Okay, hit, high intensity training. And if you want to go deeper?
Yeah. And so basically, 15 minutes of that hour, my heart rate is probably going to be somewhere in the high 30s, high 130s. Okay, but for the the rest of the 45 minutes, I'm probably somewhere between 120 and 130, somewhere around in there, okay? Because the thing is with oxygen, basically aerobics just means with oxygen. You need oxygen in order to burn body fat, okay? You know, that's the oxidation process, is you gotta have oxygen to go with it. So if you're barely breathing, even barely breathing, you're gasping for air, you're in an anaerobic state. In that anaerobic state, it's fine because the white muscle fibers are kicking in, they don't need a lot of oxygen, all right? And that's fine, but you're not doing a lot of fat burning at that point, okay? You know, so.
We're saying again, if you're anaerobic, you're not burning fat. If your heart rate's too high, that's anaerobic. And so, because we have different physiques and different metabolisms, my strength training is my anaerobic training. I don't want to do anaerobic training when everybody else is doing cardio. He's got a different physique. If your heart rate's too high, doing the bike or doing the treadmill, it's not wrong from a conditioning standpoint, but it could be wrong from a fat burning standpoint. So that heart rate thing really, it kind of matters, and the science is very solid. If you, and it's very easy, easier to jog a mile or to sprint 400 meters. Jogging a mile, fat burning. Sprinting 400 meters, that's an anaerobic activity, and it does not burn fat. It has a different energy system or a different substrate altogether. Okay.
And I want to add on to that because the thing about it is nothing is in stasis. Okay, and I see this a lot. I see this on the training floor and I see this with cardio. And they're both the same. Body adaptation controls demand. Your body is going to, not only will it adapt to loads, okay, but it adapts to cardio levels too, okay? So that aerobic state may have started fairly low, but as you start getting in better shape from doing the cardio over time, that's gonna go up, okay? So that means you can't stay, it's, you know, being at level 3 or 4 on that step meal, that was great for the first 2 weeks or so, okay? Got your heart rate up a little bit, you're working a little bit and stuff like that. After about 2 weeks now, you're a little bit more comfortable with it. That should tell you, okay, it's time to move this up a little bit in order to go forward, okay? So the progression doesn't apply to just weight training, that progressive overloading. It also applies to cardio, okay? You know, so if 4.2 is not hitting you as hard as it did 2 weeks ago, you can go 4.4. You don't have to go 5 or 6, just a couple of notches, okay? And then you're starting to move that body forward again, because if you don't, you're going to stay right where you are.
Word fluctuating, use the word progressive. Use the word progressive. Doesn't matter if it's cardio or strength training. If it's not progressive, it's staying the same. It's stuck.
No challenge, no change.
He used something, if you're taking notes, he used an acronym. It's called SAID. Specific Adaptation Imposed Demands. Is it there? Nice. Go me. How do I tell if I'm optimizing fat loss? How do I know about fat loss being optimized?
All right, so this is also very important. Fat has 3 times the volume of muscle. Okay? I know, yeah, fat has 3 times. You know, you hear people say, well, you know, muscle weighs more than fat, blah, blah, blah. You know, no, not really. 5 pounds of fat weighs how much? 5 pounds of muscle weighs how much? 5 pounds. However, 5 pounds of fat takes up this much. 5 pounds of muscle takes up this much space. 5 pounds of fat takes up this much space. Okay? So, this is why I tell a lot of clients, whenever you do your weigh-in, you need to try on some clothes. Have a pair of jeans, hang it up right next to the scale, because the scale only tells you part of the story. Okay? You drop a pound of fat, you look like you see maybe a little, I mean, you drop a pound of muscle, you really can't see it that much. You drop a pound of fat, fat has 3 times the volume of muscle, you can see it. You drop 3 pounds of muscle, it looks like you dropped maybe about a couple of pounds or so, and you're like, okay, yeah. You drop 3 pounds of fat, it looks like you dropped 8 pounds. Okay? So just remember that. Fat has 3 times the volume of muscle. So even if the scale isn't moving that much, if you're dropping inches, that's a good thing. Because you're dropping fat. Okay? If you find yourself dropping weight, but you're not getting reactions from folks, people aren't seeing it, and you're not really seeing it, that's not a good sign. Okay? For the mere fact that fat has 3 times the volume of muscle.
Let's talk about the C word, cheating.
Cheating. All right. So now we're talking about athletes again. Let's talk about the athletes because you can apply to gym props too, but it's more so athletes because of where they're going to go.
By the way, got all these terms.
Because of where we have to go. Typically, for an athlete, with me, and I have to, with me, the cheating doesn't start until I get really, really, really deep into prep. I'm talking about like 2 weeks out, as a matter of fact. Okay? You know, because now the body fat is just really, really, really low, and you know, willpower is much will. You can have certain people they can actually, but it takes a lot of willpower. I mean, when your depletion level is like at a 9 and your hunger levels are kind of up there with it, that's like a perfect storm, you know? You know, and people see me eating ice with Mio, and I'm chewing, and the chewing and swallowing just releases the dopamine. So I'm trying to keep from, you know, thinking about putting more fat on it by just eating ice and stuff, you know. So, but yeah, it's crazy. But.
Oh, you're good.
Okay, sweet. Yes.
What are you cutting out of your diet then at this point where you're trying to drop?
So right now it's just overall calories. My carbs are already gone. My carbs are already gone. So here's the deal. Huh?
What do you eat?
At this point right now. So it wasn't what I was eating when I started. Okay, it has significantly shrunk. Okay, so now. It's kind of classified, but it's. I'll put you like this. It's very little fat at this point, and it's practically no carbs.
Do you eat a meal?
Huh?
Do you eat a meal?
Yes, I ate a meal.
How many?
I ate a meal. I ate about 2 or 3.
How many meals a day?
About 2 to 3 right now. I started about 6. And, you know, and like I said, it doesn't matter how clean the food is or anything like that. At some point, you're going to either have to bump up the cardio, drop the calories, or both.
Or a combination of the two.
I don't care whether it's pizza and beer or chicken and rice or, you know, it is going to happen. And it's just part of the process. You know, like I said, don't think of it as failure, but it's part of the process. Now, the cheating, let's get back to that cheating. It's a double-edged sword. There's 2 ways you cheat. The first way is you just snap. Okay, you just snap. It's like, you know, you're driving one day and you see Burger King, and before you know it, you're in the parking lot. You got a couple of bags of, you know, the stuff is all over the place. All right, so you snap. You know, but here's the deal. Here's the deal. If you were on schedule, okay, let's say you were coming down pretty good and you just hit that plateau, you drop that, you hit that plateau in that body fat loss to where your body just said, hey, look, all the alarms went off and stuff, and it just sidetracked you. You know, it's sidelined, you know, and you just reacted, you know. Now, cheating can also be a good thing. Okay, you get hard gainers. You get people that are coming down so fast. Some people, their metabolism actually revs up. As a matter of fact, it starts revving up so much, okay, that if you don't tamper it, all right, then they're going to go into what's called a catabolic spiral. That's something that you don't want. Catabolism. That's when the body feeds on itself, okay? So we don't want that to happen. How do we slow that down, okay? You have a cheat meal. Now, it depends. A cheat meal can be as simple as adding some rice back in, maybe like a couple of cups of rice, maybe that'll slow it down a little bit, you know, or you may have to go full-fledged burger and fries just to get it to slow down, okay? So that you don't overshoot yourself. Because the thing about it is this, it doesn't matter what you look like 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out, 5 weeks out, or even 2 weeks out. What matters is how you look when you're on stage, okay? That's what matters, okay?
I needed to comment, I don't know, 10 minutes ago, but it's still worth saying. This is it's a process, it's a lifestyle. The lean out phase, he says, 10 to 20 weeks. It's disappointing when people come and say, you know, I've got a class reunion in 3 weeks and I need to lose 20 pounds. You're talking to the wrong guy. It's too late. It's 10 to 20 weeks. And if you're going to have a healthy fat loss, it should take 10 to 20 weeks. Otherwise, you're really, really fat. But it's on schedule. He talked about the war calendar. It's on schedule. It's under control. You remember Diana Dennis?
Yes.
I tell people sometimes, it used to be that the professional bodybuilders would come to a contest and they guest pose, but in the afternoon after prejudging, the pro would give a seminar. And Diana Dennis said something that it's always stuck with me. You know, concerning fat loss, you need to sneak up on it. You know, it needs to be so gradual and so subtle that your body can't really tell that you're losing fat until you get to that 2 or 3 week point, and everything that hurts. But if you do it that way, according to his war calendar, you just sneak up on it and you just gradually lose the body fat. It's healthier. You'll hold on to your muscle better, and maybe less need to cheat. But yeah, I got.
You're right, boss. Because I mean, it's just these last few weeks. I mean, my first, like from week 12 to like week 5, 6, I really didn't have any issues. I was eating plenty of food and it was coming down. You know, it's just that, you know, and as far as gym pop goes, I've reached that goal weeks ago. You know, but where I've got to go is going to trigger, okay, the stuff that I'm going through now. There's not a gym pop person here that needs to go that low to be experiencing that, okay? All right, if you're a gym pop person, you're experiencing that, then, you know, I mean, so what contest are you looking to get in again? You know, that's what I would have to say. That's what I'd have to ask you. No gym pop would have to really go that low to what you're experiencing with physique athletes are actually doing.
I'm going to deviate just a little bit. Tell me about posing. How often do you do it?
All right, so with the posing, here we go again. I got to make it. So you have 3 levels of fat loss. Okay. Now I'm talking to competitors again. All right. All right. You got your lines. You got separation, and you got striation. Okay. All right. Now, typical off-season bodybuilder, you know, that's getting ready to compete, you know, will probably have their lines. And what I mean by lines is, I mean, your shape is in, your figure is in, you know, I mean, you know, I can tell a person, you know, if you were to stand up, you can actually see the contour of the person. The person isn't just round. I mean, if you're really, you can't really tell what this person does. But as you start that initial level of fat loss, okay, and you're not really losing a lot of fat, you're losing some fat and you're losing some water. And the reason you're losing water is because now your carbs are probably down a little bit, which means you're getting rid of some water. So it's a combination of fat loss and water loss. And what's going to happen is your shoulders are going to become more prominent, your waistline is going to get a little bit smaller, you know, the roundness of your thighs are going to start coming in, you know, the contour, the glutes are starting to come in.
What's that called? There's a name for it in bodybuilding, in the physique world.
What's that?
That shape thing you're saying?
Shape.
X-frame.
Okay, come on, you know, X-frame, okay.
It looks like an X.
So, and that takes about, that's going to be about the first 3 weeks. Okay. Now, once your lines are in, that's when you can start posing. Okay. And the reason being is because now, if I'm doing some posing coaching, because now I can see, I don't really need you super separated, but your lines are in to where I can see how you need to pose. Okay? Alright? But the lines have got to be, you can't be like just completely round. I mean, look, you don't even look like you even lift weights and stuff, you know, and have you go through that. You can't see anything. I can't project. I can't project. So that line phase is where things just, your body just starts to, the line just starting to come in. Okay, I can see it. Now, the next phase is where most of the fat takes place. The next phase is where all of the competitors need to go. Okay, including bikini, the whole 9 yards. And that's the separation phase. So you'll hear a lot of people say, okay, I'm waiting for you to separate. I'm waiting for you to separate. Now, what that means is the body fat's getting so low, you can actually see the separation between the deltoids and the arms. You can see the separation in the tricep. You can see the separation in the quads. You can see the abs are coming in and stuff. Okay, that's the separation phase. This is where most of the fat burning is going to happen. Now you're in the middle of it now. Okay, and that's going to be about another, you're going to spend about another 3 to 4 weeks in that mode right there, okay? And it's just gonna get sharper and sharper and sharper. Now, the final phase, most people need to be in that phase right there. I don't care whether it's figure, whether it's bikini, okay, wellness, men's physique, classic physique, everybody's gotta be separated. But not everybody needs to be striped, okay? So now, you're at the height of the separation, about 5 weeks in, you're probably feeling pretty crappy at this point, but you're looking fantastic, okay? All right, and gym pops, this is the area that you're gonna be in too, okay? This is the area that you want, all right? You just don't wanna be really deep into it. You don't have to go really deep into it where you're actually going to go to the striation phase. And that's where the body fat is so low that you can actually see the fibers in the muscle cells or the muscle fibers, okay? All right, that's the striation phase.
Okay, question.
Only, yes.
Question right here. So, if you don't understand what that striation thing is, would you show us? Your tricep probably striates.
Is it striated right now?
It probably does if you contract.
I know I'm separated, but I don't know if I'm striated. Am I striated?
Nope.
No, my triceps don't really strike, but my back and my legs are
I thought we could get away with that, but that's not.
But I'm right now really deep in the separation. You can see the separation in the, you know, okay, yeah. But bodybuilders need to be striated. Women's physique competitors need to be striated. Women bodybuilders, okay, that's about the only 3 genres in this sport that really needs to get to that degree. Now you're talking about getting even lower. Because when you're really deep into that separation phase, you're probably talking about, you're in the 5 somewhere, 5.6%, 5.5%, okay? As a matter of fact, gym pops 10%, a male, you know, gym pop male, 8% is the bottom end, you're gonna be separated. 10%, more than likely, you're probably gonna be separated pretty good. Your lines are definitely gonna be in. That waist is gonna be nice and small, you're gonna have that taper, the whole 9 yards, you're gonna have a pretty decent degree of separation, but not extreme separation.
He's got to work for that too.
In essence, what's that?
Street hop.
Yeah, street hop. Street hop.
You're not ready for the contest yet, but it's street hop.
Right, you're street hop, you're right.
I listen to you, come on.
Yes. And everybody wants to be street hop, okay? Which means that there's going to be some degree of separation. The line's going to be in, you're going to be in some degree of separation, you're good to go, okay? That striation phase, which is what I'm trying to get to now in about over the next 2 weeks, ain't gonna be fun. But you know, it's what's needed in order to be competitive. Okay, in order to be competitive, that's where I gotta go.
Let's move into the next phase.
Yes.
Next phase is
which is the fill out phase.
Fill out phase.
Now,
listen, we're done with the fat loss, lean out phase. Before we go in, you got questions about that one? It's a good time. Go.
I've been incorporating that protein modified fasting.
okay.
The last 3 weeks, twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm down from, I mean, I started this in 2017, so I was diabetic and I'm about a size 3X. So it's been like,
Wow.
yeah, for you. Yep. So at this point, it's like I realize there's some fine tuning to go on. So because I still have these areas, I've had this belly since I was 8, you know, so it's like, and I noticed the blue jeans. I don't have a scale because it just messes with my head. I get too weird.
But you didn't think about the scale, and the scale is important, but they only tell part of the story.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. Only tell part of the story. You know,
I was too food addicted and driven, so the scale would just be like.
Right.
But protein modified fasting. I mean, do you have some insights on that? Because I eat a carnivore diet. I have for many years. I don't eat plants except occasionally I'll have a pickle or something. But so, do you have some thoughts on that?
So my deal is this. So, do you feel it's working for you?
Oh God, yes.
Can you live with it?
I love it. It's wonderful.
Okay, you got
I want to address more of like what you're saying when you can, you know, I'm 7 years old. I'm not going to go be bodybuilding anywhere, but I do want to be as healthy as I can.
And you want to keep it, you want to maintain as much muscle as you
Yeah,
can.
and I know what I look at instead of the scale is my lab work. I get that done real regularly so I can see. And I had Donnie check my body fat composition a couple times. I was like, not pleased. So, so I'm working on that. I just wondered if you could sound like you're doing some of that too, just by the way you address the food and getting the fat low. So,
Yeah, but it's just scaled at a more extreme level. That's all. Drastic results require drastic means. That's kind of like where I'm at right now, or any competitor. That's you know, when you're trying to get to the degree of leanness that we're getting to, it just requires you to go to, you know, just unprecedented levels. That's all.
and I haven't counted calories in years. I eat lots of fatty red meat and bacon and eggs and sardines and stuff. But now it's like getting.
You know, you got me jonesing for burgers now. You know that, right? I know. Okay, I got you.
Thank you for that question. So back to filling out. That's phase 2 is fill out.
So, and like I said, and before we go, on that dry out, that's just on the lean out phase. We didn't do a deep dive. It was just you know, there's so much more stuff that you can talk about on that, but we just touched on some points here. So now, everybody heard the term peak week in the bodybuilding realm? Peak week, competitors appreciate that. And that peak week is nothing more than the dry out and the fill out phase. Is basically what it is. You know, and people they go, oh yeah, you got peak week and stuff. So to get as lean as you need to get for most bodybuilders, a few people that is an exception. One of them's in this room right in the back. Okay, you know. But in order to get as lean as you need to get to be competitive, it comes at a cost, okay? All right? In order for me to get to that 4.6% or that 4.3%, it's got to be under 5, okay, somewhere around in there. I'm going to pay a price for that. And that price is going to be, my muscles are going to be very depleted because I've spent such a long period of time not eating a lot of carbohydrates, okay? I've had a couple calorie spikes, I've had some refeeds, you know, to kind of slow things down a little bit, you know, but now, these final 2 weeks, I'm going to be pretty lean, but I'm not going to be my best. It is not the final throw, just getting lean enough. It won't, you know. Now, boss as a judge will tell you, you can have a person, he's probably seen some athletes on stage, look like they nailed that lean out phase, they nailed it. But they didn't nail the fill out phase, and they're on stage and they're flat. Okay, what does flat mean? Okay, which means the muscles are not full. Now I gotta back up a little bit now. 3 things are stored in muscle. Anybody know one? Glycogen, yes. Number 2. Yes. Number 3. Yes, fat. Those are three things stored in muscle: water, glycogen, and fat. Okay. There's a number 4. It's a mystery, but I'm going to show that a little bit later on. Okay. But it really doesn't apply to Gen Pop, but it does apply to athletes. All right. So what happens is this: you're late. You're deep in that. You finished your lean out phase. You nailed it. Okay. So your muscles are probably high on water because you've been drinking gallons of water. Okay. All right. Probably low on glycogen. Okay, all right, because you haven't been doing a lot of carbs, and pretty low on fat, though. You want some intercellular fat, a little bit, just to fill out, okay? All right, now, what's got to happen is this. We've got to get those muscles to fill out now, okay? You're not going to do it with the water, because you're doing plenty of water, okay? You're going to do it with the carbs. The goal now is to get the glycogen back into the muscles, and this is where a lot of amateurs, they fall short. They are so used to eating, or they're so used to not eating, avoiding food, okay, for those 12, 15 weeks. And that's okay, it's time to fill out. We need to eat. And they're like, well, I don't want to get fat, okay? They're pushing away the eating. No, you have to eat, doggone it. I need you to eat some pasta. I need you to eat some stuff, okay? And they don't want to do it, okay, because they think they're going to ruin their physique, not realizing that their muscles are flat and we need to fill out, okay? A person that is lean and flat standing next to a person that is lean and full, okay, is going to look like they're 3 weeks out, okay? Because the fat is gone, you put the glycogen back in the muscles and it fills and stretches the skin out, and that's where you get that crazy look, okay?
Okay, so you mentioned one food, you said pasta.
Yes.
What's another option for a fill-out food?
So the fill-out foods the foods that are ideal for filling out are the foods that we request a lot of clients not eat when they're in a normal state, okay? All right? White rice, pasta, simple sugars, not a lot of fat, not a lot of fiber. Okay, we need straight up simple sugars. Now you mix up.
What's wrong with those things for the general population?
Okay.
Why do you and I say don't eat those now, and then it's okay for you at this time?
Correct. So I've got a Gen Pop person. Let's say they need to drop about 20, 30 pounds. Okay, 30 pounds. Let's say 30 pounds. All right. So we know they're not in fat burning mode for sure. Okay. All right. And what we want to do is we want to drive down that insulin level so that we can drive down the fat levels, and we want to do that via just the carb control.
Is everybody comfortable with what insulin does and what you kind of just said? If you're not, it's okay, because we want to make that. Insulin is the big deal in terms of storing body fat, and therefore you need to keep your insulin down in order to reduce your body fat. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So understand insulin and understand what he is doing at a high level is he's dialing that hormone in and out according to whatever the goal is. And for most people, the goal should be to drive your insulin levels lower. That's what you're doing. If you don't eat any plants, and understand, there will be a small insulin response to eating protein, but not like pasta and rice, and you were going
white potatoes.
You white potatoes, keep going. You're
white potatoes, simple sugars. I mean, you know, but then so the fat and the fiber. It's not so much the sweetness of the carbohydrate as it is the absorbability of the carbohydrate. Okay, so when I'm dealing with a Gen Pop, I want carbohydrates that are going to absorb very, very, very slowly, okay? And so the blood sugar raises very gradually, and you'll use exercise to kind of keep it under control. Because if you're not using fat and fiber, it's going to spike, and if it spikes, then insulin's going to come up. And insulin tells the body, we're not burning fat. If you're in excess calories, that's what the insulin tells the body. No fat burning. We're burning carbs. We're getting carbs down. Okay, unless you're in negative calories. Okay, that's the only way. That's the exception. Okay. Now, in my case, I'm not 20, 30 pounds overweight. I'm hypocaloric. my muscles are flat, and I need to get my blood sugars up, I need to get my glycogens up as quick as possible because I'm only gonna have about 2 days before I'm on stage. Okay? All right? Now, fat and fiber slows carbohydrate absorption. That's why the first day I don't want to use a lot of fat and I don't want to use a lot of fiber. Okay? All right? Now, I know it sounds anti-holistic, okay? But there's a reason for it, all right? Okay? Fat and fiber slows down the absorption, and I need the absorption to be very quick. Okay? So the first day,
filling out the muscles.
right? Because that's all I'm trying to do at this point. I'm trying to fill out muscles. I'm not trying to get my fiber and be holistic and thinking about, you know, longevity and all this stuff. No, I need to get ready for this show. Okay? That's what needs to happen. All right? Yes.
Okay, cool. So, quick note, in the years that I was successful with bodybuilding, and you go through this where he is right now, for me it's between week 5 and, you know, the rest of the time. One of the saving graces that worked for me is I would take a tablespoon, put it in the jar of peanut butter, and try to eat it like a popsicle.
I can literally picture that right now.
It's a standing thing. So basically, all you're tasting the peanut butter, but you're not eating it. Because if you eat it, then you're going to spin out of control. You put it, okay, you got a little taste. Okay? So you eat that tablespoon as slow as you can. It would save the day for me a lot of times. Because you got to understand, and trust me on this, if you go through a crave, if you tough it out, a crave will typically go away in 20 minutes.
Right.
Almost inevitably, even if you do nothing. But if you're hypocaloric and really struggling, that's what worked for me. Now, I see you chewing on ice, well, that would work for me. I don't know what you're doing. Eating ice, and all, that would work for you. That peanut butter thing worked for me, and it kind of works right now. I am not what most people consider fat, but I'm still working on reducing body fat, trying to maintain muscle. And I'm not saying that'll work for you, but it worked for me. You need something.
Oh, sanity savers, you know that.
Yes. You need something to get you through that craving cycle so that you can stay on track. Something.
Yeah, we kind of cheated back into the lean out, but I'm glad you brought that up and stuff. So, but yeah, sanity savers, that's, you can do a seminar just on that by itself.
So the diet completely changed. You know, you were on the low carb diet. Now, for how long? How many days do you use this fill out thing?
So with me, it takes about 3 days. So here's the deal. When you're like in those 4% range, that 5% range, whole nut, you know, and like I said, these amateurs, they're so used to not eating, they don't want to eat because they think they're going to get fat like right away. It takes a while before that starts adding on. I've got some competitors in here now, and they'll let you know they can go a couple of weeks eating like crap before it actually starts sticking. Okay? Alright? So that's why I'm not too concerned about, you know, getting my fat down and getting my weight down as low as possible when he goes out of the way, you know, but Thursday night I am going to start filling out. I'm going to fill out on high glycemic carbohydrates. These are carbohydrates that are absorbed very quickly by the body, okay? And I can fill up the glycogen. Now, my first couple of meals, and this is how it works. My first couple of meals of carbohydrates, pasta with rice mixed together, the whole 9 yards, my muscles aren't going to even see it. Because those first couple of meals, the first 50 to 100 grams of carbs, is going to the liver. Okay, remember now, liver stores glycogen too, and it's just as depleted as the muscles are. So the liver will take precedence over the muscles. So your first couple of carb meals, you're not going to see anything right away. You're just eating those and then going straight to the liver. Okay? After about those first couple of meals, then it will start spilling over. I will start eating Thursday night at 10 o'clock. And I'll eat again at about 12:50. And I'll eat again at about 2:30. And I'll eat again at about 4 o'clock.
These are AM times.
These are AM times now. Okay, I'm getting up and I'm eating. Okay, all right. And so this is going to go continually. Okay, I would probably bring a little bit of juice with that. I know it's like, look, goodness gracious, you're doing all this, you know, but the thing about it is this, I'm at a point now to where the fat's not gonna come on that fast. It's just not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen, okay? And I will continue this, and how will I know when I'm done? Well, you know, you hit poses and you'll be able to see it, you know, I mean, you know, you're kind of separated. Now you're really, when you hit it, it just really starts to separate. You can tell when your muscles start to fill up. Your contractions feel harder, okay? You look more separated. It's just an enhanced version of what you're already looking at, is what it is. And then at that point, I can start slowing it down a little bit, okay? Now, the thing about it is this. This is a different type of eating now. This is a very controlled binge now. Granted, I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to this. But the thing about it is this. If I treat this like a post-contest meal, like when you go to, I'm probably gonna go to the Brazilian steakhouse, okay, afterwards in Pittsburgh, okay. They know I'm coming, I already got my reservations up, you know. And so, yeah, you know, you come, you're slamming, I'm not gonna slam down too much, but amateurs, they will tend to slam their food down. It's the first time, you know, they got a trophy, so they got the win, and they're slamming food down, and in about a couple of hours, their digestive system is tore up. Okay? Alright? That is something I cannot have happening to you on stage. Okay? You cannot hit an abdominal thigh shot, okay, when your stomach is out here. Okay? Alright? So this is a very controlled binge. And so what I have to tell a lot of your amateurs, when you guys go into it, don't start too fast, don't start putting down food, okay? It's you know, I won't trade. I could probably finish in about 20 seconds, but you know, it's going to take me about 6 to 7 minutes, okay? You know, and then I'll just go to bed, I'll get back up, and then I'll just do it again. I'll just repeat that process. It's a very controlled thing. A lot of high glycemic carbohydrates, stuff that's going to be consumed very, you know, it's going to get absorbed very, very quickly. Yeah. And I'll just repeat that process for the next couple of days. As a matter of fact, I'm going to need to fly with it. I'm going to be on the plane. Now, the first day, you know, I don't really talk about the trial again, but yeah, that's basically how it goes. It's a controlled thing, is what it is. I don't want to eat too fast, move too much too fast, but it will be a significant amount of carbs. The average body can hold about 400 grams of carbs in the form of glycogen in the muscles, 50 to 100 grams in the liver, okay? So, you know I'm going to do at least, and for me, you know, I got I'm carrying a little bit more muscle than average, and I'm depleted. So, in about a 2.5 day period, we're talking about what, maybe 1,100 grams of carbs I'm going to be taking in. Okay, so yeah.
Okay, using the word glycemic index or glycemic load. You want to get comfortable with the word, especially for fat loss. You want to get comfortable. And as a highlighter or a summary, during this fill out phase, he's using things that we typically tell you not to eat or not to eat much of. Those are high glycemic, they stimulate not only glycogen storage, they stimulate storage. The glycogen is full, what do you have? It's going to turn into triglycerides and therefore body fat. So those foods work well for somebody who is depleted and very lean and very muscular. Most of us, better to, let's just say moderate on like high glycemic foods. Okay, that's filling out. We have leaning out and filling out. What's next?
The last thing is the dry.
You got a question?
Yes. When you're filling out, are you eating the same like amount of protein that you're normally eating?
Actually, believe it or not, I completely eliminated protein.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Yeah.
Because at that point, protein is not needed. Protein does not fill out muscle fiber. Protein does not fill out muscles. Okay, so you're right. All the protein is gone, you know, and it's just straight up carbs. No fat, no fiber, and we know why. It's not that it's bad. It's just that it slows down the absorption. It slows down the process. Don't want to slow it down.
Lean out, fill out. Dry out.
Now, the lean out, the dry out phase, the fill out, the lean out, the dry out and the fill out phase, like I said, it's not so much needed for Jet Pop. So now we're still going more towards competitors. But the dry out phase, I'll just start off by saying this is probably the more dangerous phase of it, depending on what you're doing. I will touch on it just a little bit. Okay, we just had a bodybuilder who had a tragic accident, and it was due to acute dehydration. Okay, but the thing is we have to get dry here now. So what happens is this: depending on how you dry out is going to determine when and how you fill out. Okay, now let's say first time competing, we're not going to do anything crazy. We're just going to do it the natural way, probably with water manipulation, some sodium manipulation. Okay? So what will happen is you will start drying out first. And how you're going to do that, believe it or not, is you're going to start drinking more water. Okay? So you have what's called diuresis. Alright? And diuresis is just a mild state of dehydration when you're really peeing a lot, okay? And if you notice, if you start drinking a lot of water, that you really start peeing more. Anybody ever notice that? You pee a lot? Okay, I do about 2 gallons a day, and so I have to have lotion all over that will constantly run my hand, but I'm freaking peeing so much and stuff, okay? Alright, so, you know, I'll start an athlete about a couple of days with that first. I don't want them to get completely dry because you need the water to shovel the carbs to the muscles when they start to fill out. Okay, so you don't want them completely dry. Okay, but you want to get about 60% dry. All right, so they're going to drop a little weight. They're looking a little tighter. Okay, they're just looking a little flat. And then for about a good 24 to 36 hours, you start introducing those carbs. Okay, those high glycemic carbohydrates that you were talking about. Okay, okay, and then they'll fill up that. Okay, so they end on the fill out. They don't end on the dry out. Okay, all right. Now, there are people that take prescription diuretics. Okay, you have 2 types. Okay, and so with the first type, the milder type, you're pretty much doing the same thing that you did with the natural athletes. Okay, same thing. You know, you'll start to dry out a little bit first. You know, and then once it gets so dry, then you go ahead and start filling them out. Okay, so there's enough fluid where they don't spill over. Because if they take it in too fast, or they take it in too much water, they can spill over. Okay, and so basically that means that you just smooth out because even though there's no fat there, there's water there. It's just as bad. Okay, so they can really hydrate you. All right. For those who take more powerful diuretics, the lutes, okay, then they're going to dry out first. It really doesn't matter, okay, because these things pull hard, okay, and you want to be nice and full when that happens. That means your body's got to be full of glycogen. When you pull that water, there's got to be something there to hold the muscles in place, okay, and this is where people make a lot of mistakes. They don't fill out enough. Let's say they fill out about 30–40%, they had a few meals, they're like, oh yeah, I'm good, you know what I mean? Okay? But they're only about 30–40%, all right? And let's say they use one of these loop diuretics that pull that water, and all that's left is that 30–40%, they're flat, okay? Whereas if you fill out and you're like 90%, okay, all right, and you pull that water, you still have that glycogen holding the muscles in place. Okay, all right. Now, that 4th supplement that I was telling you about, creatine. Creatine is also stored in the muscle. Okay, it is a very good filler. And so during the fill-out phase, that's what I'm going to do on the first day. I'm going to add a little creatine too to get some extra fullness. So when that water gets pulled, okay, the muscles don't flatten.
Okay, he introduced that idea. I didn't know he was going to do it.
That's what that is.
Is anybody familiar with creatine? Okay, so I'm going to help you get more familiar. Your body is making it right now. make creatine. Creatine, phosphate, you make it. It is a normal part of your physiology. It became really popular when the food scientists discovered what it would do for your training. It is not a completely foreign substance. It is something that the muscles automatically do. Okay. Next, the people up front got a chance to see this, and I'm curious, the people in the back, did you see any difference between those two balloons? What do you see, Julie?
This one looks more vibrant, and the other one looks dull.
You know what, I need to stop there. She said, this one's more vibrant, this one is more dull. It's my best opportunity to explain what that dry out thing looks like. Okay? If these are his biceps,
Yeah.
if these are, well, can't change that. These are biceps. If he's dry enough, he wants to look like that. It pops, it's shiny. It's the same balloon, these came out of the same package. But this one has a dull appearance. This one's got a shiny, attractive appearance. So that's probably a lot about the dry out phase. When he gets dry, it'll look more like that. And that's the sport, that's more desirable. So that's the dry out phase. Make sense? Cool. Okay, let's go any lessons learned as a pro regarding your training, contrasted with being a athlete? Lessons learned.
Lessons learned? I've been training since '71. I mean, I don't get, time is not as relevant with me right now. I mean, if I feel I need to take a couple of weeks off, I have no problem taking a couple of weeks off. You know, training as long as I've been training and stuff.
Okay, that's a good segue. Anybody here like to see him take off his shirt and go through some quarter turns? Take off the shirt.
Yeah.
It's done.
Do it.
Quarter turns, take off the shirt.
Do it.
Oh, man.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on. Listen, look at bodybuilders on YouTube. Those guys are posting in their underwear. I'm not trying to ask you to take off your shirt. Come on, man. But you also reload looks like. Reload. Okay, front position. Don't let it reload.
All right.
Yep. And when you walk out on stage, this is the first thing that the judges get to see. And I'm looking for shoulder roundness. He's separated. Looks good. Abs are in. Abdominals look really good.
And I'm not finished. I'm far from done.
And guess what? Yeah, he has not done dry out or fill out. He's still.
I'm not even finished eating yet.
Okay, give me a quarter turn to the right, please. Quarter turn right. Okay. You can see the deltoids separate really nicely from the arms. The pecs from the rib cage.
Not expecting this.
Okay. Quarter turn to the right. And you know what? When he goes here, boy, that's impressive. This is an awesome back. Details in the lower back, details around the shoulder blades, and nice taper from the shoulders down to the waist. Quarter turn to the right. Okay, demonstrating proper pec thickness, and again separation in the arms and the deltoids. That's that separation thing he was talking about, and face front. Okay, that's the first thing, and you know, as a judge, a lot of times I can tell right away if that's my first guy. I don't need to see the rest of the poses. A lot of times, just do a quarter. Oh, I know who first is. And now I just worry about who's second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. He didn't know I was going to do that. Yeah, he didn't know I was going to do that. Listen, we are at the very end. I want to make sure that people got what they came for. If you got more, that's great. But if to write down, you can ask it now. If we need to expound on something, go ahead.
So as I was listening to this, I guess part of it for age, but I don't want to work that hard, but I really figured out is that whole female phase as a lifestyle.
So define to me what you mean you don't want to work that hard.
Well, I'm 71.
I get that.
And I want to be able to hold perfectly this afternoon and go out to dinner sometimes. Just to work under the gym, which might be absolute best. Great for food, you know?
Okay, I want to use the teacher. I get it. So now, so when you talk about in terms of training, or when you talk about in terms of the overall, yeah, absolutely. I think you're fantastic. Go eat some cake. But you want to get rid of, but you want to attain something. Right. So if you want to attain something, means that to now remember, it varies, folks. Okay. I mean, I'm on the extreme side of the spectrum, so which means that you got to go a little bit ahead of your comfort zone, just a little bit. Okay. Not here, but here. Okay. And just to give it something to adapt to. Okay. You see what I'm saying? Because you're wanting to acquire something. And if you're not acquiring it right now, then you need to do something. You need to present some type of challenge to get it going. Okay? Because if you stay with, because if you keep doing what you're doing, you'll keep getting what you're getting. See what I'm saying? Okay.
Thank you. Other ones? Other question? Okay, go for it.
What are your opinions about like testosterone for older men and for like supplements or people using estrogen blockers? I just have heard a lot from like the MMA community, so I was just curious in the bodybuilding community if that
Well,
people
you
use estrogen blockers as their
You talking about females using estrogen blockers?
No,
Males using estrogen blockers? So, you're saying older males, right?
yeah.
Like me, right?
Well,
I'm 64, so yeah.
I was just curious. I've heard.
So I take DHEA, you know, which is it's kind of like a stem cells for male cells, you know. So I take and testosterone. I mean, first of all, testosterone is what makes men, you know, and at 60, you know, it drops pretty precipitously in TRT, you know, some people use TRT. But some people take to artificial testosterone better than others, and it's a double-edged sword. Almost anything is a double-edged sword, you know. I mean, testosterone makes you feel a lot better. You feel a lot more confident. You're burning. You have more muscle mass, less body fat, a whole 9 yards. But there's a double-edged sword. You know, internally, your lipids go a little crazy. You need to be very mindful of your lipids. You need to be very mindful of your diet too. You know, I wouldn't really go eating a lot of junk when you're taking testosterone, even though it will help burn it off, but it may also break half of your work.
Yeah, I'm not taking. I was just curious about it. And if people are taking testosterone replacement therapy, would you recommend they take like an estrogen blocker? Because I hear like.
Well, their doctor will let them know that, so that's what we're going to do.
Oh, okay.
That's something. Yeah, that's something that they're going to get with their doctor. So, that's how it is.
You know, one of the individuals asked me if there were going to be door prizes, and he left. If it's interesting, and we hinted on it, if it's interesting, make an appointment with me. I will take an ultrasound body composition. I'll do that for you for free, so that you have some kind of idea about how much lean mass and how much body fat you have. You know, in bodybuilding, they always tend to talk about percent body fat. Well, you need to be talking about how much of your body is lean. You do not want to lose lean body mass. You know, what's it called as you age and you lose lean body mass?
Sarcopenia.
It's called sarcopenia. It's a medical condition. It's got a disease code. A disease code. loss of muscle tissue. And when you lose muscle tissue, you lose function. If you fall on the floor and you can't get up, you're a liability to you and everybody else. So hopefully we're a long way from that, but body composition tells me as a trainer how to help feed you so that you can grow the muscle, starve the fat. And changing your appearance and making it look better is about body composition. I've taken body comps. I had a client a long time ago. I took her body comp for 2 years or 2.5 years. I never told her percent body fat until she asked me. Because I don't care. You know, he's got a lot more lean than anybody, most of the people in this room. I don't care about your fat. We want to feed the lean and make sure that that's not compromised, and to the extent that it can get better, you want it. It's like money. As you age, you want more. You not want that whittling away, because that is one of the pedestals, the pillars of aging. It's loss of lean tissue, loss of musculature, loss of function.
As a matter of fact, the word sarcopenia means poverty of the flesh.
Poverty.
You know, and it's a Greek word, and it's fascinating that that's what it means. That's what they decide to describe it as.
So given my age at 70, some say at least 1 gram of protein per lean body mass weight that you want, but I'm looking for higher than that because
That's a good number.
1.5 to 2 grams per lean body mass.
You can, yeah.
Oh,
Well, you can, you don't even try.
I'm
You totally
vegan,
can.
so I'm good, but I just don't know, I don't want to overfeed myself either, so.
Well, and that's really a function there of, you know, watching your body count and having some frequency of, you know, blood tests and labs.
Yeah.
Check the labs and look at the numbers.
Yeah.
And your doctor will look at the numbers and say, this is good or this isn't.
And I don't pay any attention to the doctor.
We'll take one more. We went really long. If there's another question or concern, let's get that one. Otherwise, you can talk to he and I, well, talk to me, because you know what, for the next 2 weeks, he might be a little foggy. He might be a little foggy. And I have not seen him get cranky this time. This is the best I've seen him do. It's the best I've seen him do. This is good. But you know, hit me up. I'm glad to help. And like I said, I've got cards up front. If you want a body comp, you just need to make an appointment. It doesn't take long. Wear shorts. Women. A test for women, mid-thigh, iliac, tricep. Guys, I test mid-thigh, abdominal, pec. So you need shorts. But that's the offer for sitting through. And again, hopefully this was enjoyable and educational at the same time. I know he and I both appreciate it because, you know, this education thing, it's just a big deal.